finishing here during the course of the week, something we've talked to the football team about a lot here, and in particular this week, and finish our preparation. Finish this football game, finish the season the right way, and so looking forward to going and competing on Saturday with these guys. Can't wait to see the environment inside of Neyland, and looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Start with Austin.
We'll go with the obligatory injury question. Any update on Tyon, Javante, any of those guys that were kind of nicked up?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know that on Fridays usually when we make those final decisions. Beasley's continued to get better. We'll see where he's at tomorrow. Tyon wasn't able to do much today. Probably won't be able to go tomorrow. Javante continues to get better through the week. So, but we usually make all those decisions on Friday.
You guys have had your first 5 on the offensive line for a couple of games now. How do you evaluate how they've done? Some specifics, if you could mention.
Yeah, I think the glaring thing for us as an offense, if you just look at statistically where we're at and who we've been, I think our pass pro is something that we have to continue to improve on. Now, everyone's going to think O-line right there immediately as you say that, but it's really everybody. It's running backs included. It's quarterback. It's wide receivers doing the right thing at the right time and getting open quickly. So I think pass protection we got to continue to clean up. Obviously, we played some really good defenses that can get after the quarterback too. But as a whole, as a group, I think when we got Coop back and everybody kind of falls into their natural position, we've been at our best with that group, and expect them to play at a really high level on Saturday.
Got a recruiting question. Some head coaches like for their assistants to have regions in the recruiting. Others like more position specific. How are the responsibilities divvied up with your assistants, and is there overlap between positions and region?
Yeah, I think in today's world, those two things ultimately end up blending together. I think every job's different, just proximity, location, where your recruiting base is, how much national you are. The more that you are, the more position it becomes. For us, we do have areas, primary and secondary areas for our coaches. At the same time, as you get through the recruiting process, the initial piece of the evaluation or finding names and seeing body types at one point in your recruiting process, it ultimately will end up getting into a position specific as well. I think it's really important though that your entire staff recruits guys too, from an area coach to a position coach to the unit, and then ultimately me as well.
Josh, I know that most coaches are sort of loath to, compare players or compare teams. This guy's like this guy, this team's like that team. But Mike Eckler said last night on Ball Calls that this is as much, probably the most fun he's ever had coaching the game. And I'm wondering, just on a daily basis, you walk into the building, does it feel sort of similar for you? How much are you, enjoying kind of being around this group? Because you would think a 5-5 team might not be anyone's favorite team ever, but it seems like y'all are having a good time.
Yeah, you guys have heard me say that I love competing with these guys on game day. That's true. Absolutely do. They play extremely hard, but have come to really enjoy the group as a whole. And when I say that, I'm just talking about from where we started in February, who we were, as an individual, let alone collectively as a group, the accountability, trust, and respect that we're going to have inside the building, how we've grown to be connected. It's a ton of fun. We got a phenomenal group of young men inside of our locker room. They're doing things the right way. They care about each other and compete really hard, want to be great. They're very prideful, and we have a tremendous staff that is extremely selfless and just cares about the whole. And when you are around individuals like that, man, it's a ton of fun because you're truly in a team setting, and love working with these guys, players and coaches alike.
Eric and Brent.
With the season still very much going on, 2 games left, how do you go about having those conversations with some seniors who may want to come back next year? Is it kind of whenever they want to talk about it, or are you trying to wait towards the end of the season?
Yeah, and you may have a brief conversation during the course of bye week to get a gauge of, where they're at just mentally. But then I think you wait to the end of the year and then you present information. You guys have heard me say it before. We want our players to have a chance and go chase their dreams at the next level. It's important that they understand what that process looks like, where they're at in their development, where, guys in the NFL see them, potentially slated. What are the rooms for improvement and coming back? What are their goals and aspirations and coming back? Is it time for them? Family dynamics. You present all that information and then you go from there. You want your players to make a really well-informed decision and you want great amount of success for those guys.
Coach, why has this been a fast starting team?
When we have started fast, and a lot of weeks we have, the group as a whole has been very focused, very locked in, and ready to go compete. I think the way that we start our practices and the energy that we try to have as soon as the kids come up the stairs into the meeting room, all parlay into your group being ready to go compete when that opening kickoff happens.
Wes?
Josh, I'm pretty sure just every year that you were at UCF anyways, this time of year, y'all were still kind of in the conference championship mix. You're in the picture, a lot more to play for in terms of that kind of stuff. Now, in the current situation, do you find it any more challenging to keep players motivated, to kind of keep them saying, hey, I know you're sore, but let's finish this thing, we can do some stuff? Yeah,
everybody's sore and banged up at this point in the year. I don't find it hard to motivate this group. We've lost some games to some really good teams. Our guys have shown up and competed in a great way. You take a look at where we started the process week one to who we are now and how we prepare and how we compete, the consistency inside of our building because of our coaching staff, which has transcended and been required of our team. We continue to grow and get better, and this group cares a lot, right? And have been through some tough things, and man, I think they understand that they are part of growing, and it's a group that's starting to understand that like the end result matters, right? But I don't think that's what they're truly focused on. They're focused on their daily tasks, their process that you got to go through, and that's why I feel like it's a group that's still extremely highly motivated and understands what we want to do here at the end of the season.
Hey Coach, a quick follow-up to Eric's question about having those conversations about guys returning. Have you had any players approach you about wanting to return yet?
No, I mean we'll have all those conversations as we finish up the season, and make sure that guys make the right decision for themselves.
Ryan?
Josh, what kind of season has Darnell Wright had with all the injuries you mentioned up front? He's kind of been a steady hand there, and it seems like he played pretty well left tackle. Yeah, for sure. Highly talented, right, and has a great skill set. His best football is still in front of him for sure. A young man that I think just growing from the beginning of the season to now, and let alone in the off season, has started to understand football and enjoys the X's and O's and a better general understanding of how the game's played, from alignments to assignments to where his keys are. He's getting better fundamentally. There's a lot of room for him in his growth, which is a real positive, meaning that he's played at a high level but has a really high ceiling.
You go back just a few years ago and you're signing guys in February and maybe some junior college guys, and that's pretty much it. Now you've got the super seniors, COVID exemption year, you've got portal guys, you've got early recruiting and all that. What's that challenge like of just trying to count 85 guys or whatever it is? What's that like compared to a few years ago?
Roster management was never easy. You look at 3 years ago, and it's a lot easier than the process is right now. With the transfer portal and then the COVID seniors too, and trying to manage and make sure that your roster is as strong as it can be now, but also moving in the future too. And so there's a lot of things here as the season wraps up that you got to find out information, present information, understand where guys are at, and then make sure that you're building your roster for the long haul. It's tough to manage.
Do you ever find yourself checking to see, is a guy a junior or a senior? Is he fifth year senior, sixth year?
We know if they're a junior or a senior, and then they got the +1 on the back of it. That's kind of how we approach it, and you know, you see where kids are at, and you know where they're at academically. You know, where do they see them as far as their NFL future and what they're trying to get out of the process.
We'll finish with Wes.
Josh, with some of the success y'all have had with some of these guys who came from the portal, do you think that kind of thing resonates with other kids who might be out there this year? Do you think that's something where you can, you know, if they contact you or you're recruiting, you can say, listen, look at what the guys did this year. Like, here's just the stats. Here's how much they played.
Yeah, I think the brand of football that we play, the aggressive nature that we play in all 3 phases of the game, the development of young guys in our program or transfers, and the success that they've had, the way that they've played this year, is a huge recruiting tool and something that's seen not only by transfers but also by young players, junior college players, high school players, and they understand that they're going to play an exciting brand of football, that there's going to be an unbelievable culture here inside of the building, that they're going to have a ton of fun in a really competitive environment with their teammates and coaches every single day, and understand that they have an opportunity to maximize their potential as a football player and as a student athlete.